Okay, so what I want to cover today is just going to be the basics of how to use StreamElements. We've got a new Twitch account here. We're going to set up StreamElements from the beginning. I'm going to add the bot to the channel, have a look at some of the out-of-the-box commands. We're going to show you how to do loyalty points, watch time, and have a look at the basic commands. So the first thing we've got is a Twitch account with nobody in chat, no bots, nothing's connected. So the first thing we need to do is go to StreamElements.com. And we need to go and sign in with our Twitch account. So up in the top right, we go to login, say connect with Twitch. It's going to want all of these permissions. We're just going to say yep to everything. It's trustworthy website, trustworthy bot. Lots of people use it before. It's all good. Okay, so now we need to enable the chat bot. So we click activate. We don't need to set up tipping or overlays or anything like that. Okay, and that's it. We're off to the races. So the first thing we need to make sure is that this is going to appear in chat. You can see here, now that we've signed in with the dashboard, we've now got the viewer here, StreamElements. We click on it. We should be able to mod it. So if we take this name here, we just do /mod StreamElements. Now it's a moderator. And now we see it under the moderator's side here. The reason that we have to mod it is so that it can bypass any restrictions on chat. If you've got slow mode, follower only, emote only, subscriber chat, those things, we want the moderators to be able to bypass those restrictions, and so the commands will always work. We can test that this is working by doing !commands. And you can see here that StreamElements responds with a link to our list of commands, which if we go and have a look at that, you can see here all of the commands that are available. And we'll talk about a few of them, not all of them, there's too many. There's some default commands, which is what's there now. And then there's some custom commands, which we haven't built, which we will do. I'm going to get rid of that window for now. So what happens when you log into StreamElements? Well, you've got your dashboard, and you've got various sections down the left-hand side, which we can configure. This dashboard will show you things like how many tips you've got, followers, subscribers, bits, and so on. I'm sure you can read. If you ever find that you're having trouble with StreamElements and it's not working, what I recommend you do is, first of all, you part the bot from the chat here. Then you log out of StreamElements, log back in again like we just did, and then tell the bot to join again. And if you do those steps, you might have to wait a minute between parting it and logging it out, wait 1 minute, and then log back in and join it again. That gives it a chance to reset. You're going to need to do this if you change your stream name especially. So if you rename your Twitch account, change your name, then you're going to have to part the bot and rejoin it again. Otherwise, it's going to get confused over who it is and which chat it's connected to. So if you have any problems with StreamElements, part the bot, log out. When you log back in again, it might ask for more permissions. That could have been the issue. If it doesn't, rejoin the bot, and then you should be good to go. You can always test by typing !commands to see if it responds. If it doesn't respond, you can always go and check in other chats. If it's not responding anywhere on Twitch to anybody, then it's probably down and you can go and report that in the Discord, although chances are they already know about it. If it's only your chat that's not working, then try those steps that I just mentioned. There's an activity feed here where if somebody drops a follow, it will appear in here. Subs, bits, all the usual stuff. It's very similar to the activity feed that you have on Twitch already. Then you've got your revenue here. So if you're earning revenue, you'll see details of that in here. Under the streaming tools, you can configure overlays, I'm not going to go into the details of overlays today. It will be probably a topic for another time. For the overlays, they do have galleries where you can go and pick stuff that's already pre-configured. Overlays use elements, there's elements in here and so on. There's a widgets gallery where you can add various different things. Again, not going to cover that in this one. That's your streaming tools. Sponsorships is if you've had a chance to stream and there are sponsors that might be interested in the kind of content that you're streaming, then they'll appear in here as campaigns that you can subscribe to. Potentially you might earn a few bucks off sponsorship. It's usually around if you'll play a new game that's come out, they might sponsor you to do that. I haven't tried the sponsorships myself yet. I don't know that it's going to make you a lot of money, despite what the banners say. It say make up to $1,100 a month by using our sponsors. I don't think that's really going to happen unless you're Ninja, right? So don't get your hopes up. Under the revenue section, if you set up payments, so you can set up this here. Just go through and fill in your details. You can tie this to essentially your PayPal, I believe it is, or your bank account or whatever, and you can get paid through StreamElements for the donations and things like that. You can also have merch, so they have a merch partner, Fourth Wall, where you can offer merchandise. So if you've got a big brand and you want to offer merchandise, you can do that. Under the tip settings, you can connect to PayPal to start receiving tips. You can add a donate panel. Again, if you want more details on this, you can go through the help. There's documentation down here on it all. I haven't set up any of the payment stuff on StreamElements. So the bits that I'm interested in, because I'm not really interested in all of that, the bits that I'm interested in for today for the basics is this two sections here, chatbot and loyalty. So under the chat commands, you can see this list here, and there's all of the default commands, and we'll talk about a few of those. But then they also have these things called modules. And under the modules, this is a quick way of turning on different features. So you can have alerts. So if somebody follows, if somebody subscribes, if you come in here to the modules, you can see here all the different things that you can alert on. And these will put messages into the chat when the event happens. So if somebody cheers, you'll get a bits alert. If you click here, you can set up what the alerts are. Okay, so, and you can have different events. So if somebody subscribes for 1 month, it'll say user just subscribed, uses the PogChamp emote on the end. For 2 months or over, it'll say user just subscribed for this many months in a row. Okay, and you can go and tweak all of these things as well. Thank you for the follow and so on. If you have multiple in there, then so I can add multiple ones in here. You can use different amounts. And I think you can also have it, if you put the same amount, you can have it choose a random one. So alerts is one of the modules that you've got. Vote kick is another, where you can vote to kick people out of the chat. People can use these keywords. You can vote in the Twitch chat to have somebody kicked from chat. Roulette is always a fun one. This module you'll see in a lot. This is the gamble command. This is how you set it up. Out of the box straight away, this is rigged at 45%. And so this is why everybody loses their points, right? But you have points and you can gamble them, and you can change this amount here. So if I bring this all the way down here to 0, then nobody can win anything. Okay, and if I put it up at 100, then you'll win every single time. And if I put it dead in the middle, then there's a 50-50 chance. And usually out of the box, it's set at 45, so you've got a slight chance of losing. You can say then what the minimum number of points is that somebody should be able to roulette or gamble. By default, it's at 1. You can also then have a cooldown. I don't know if you can see this on stream clearly enough, so we'll zoom in a little bit more. So this is basically controlling how often somebody can gamble and how often chat generally can gamble, the global cooldown. So you could make it so that the global cooldown is every 5 seconds or 10 seconds, but then the user can only gamble once every 30 seconds. What's the message to use for winning? So here you've got the /me makes it look italics, italicizes it. You've got user won amount of whatever your points are, because you can change the name of your points in roulette, and now has this many points left. Feels good, man. And then the lost message is you lost, feels bad, man. If you go all in and win, this is the message that you'll see. If you go all in and lose, this is the one that you get with the lol at the end. Okay, dead simple to configure, not a lot there to do really, but very useful to have. Make sure you enable it. And if you've got any questions, there's a documents link here where you can go and look at the documentation. There's bingo, there's raffle. Raffle's a good one to have on as well, I would say. You can do single raffles and multi-raffles. So how many people can win on your raffle? So this multi-raffle one, we've got the raffle will run for 30 seconds. The maximum amount that you can get in the raffle to win is 6,000 points. So you could change this if you want to have higher points or lower points. These are the messages that you'll see, and when it starts, when it's running, and when it ends. And then there's a single raffle as well. And this is the configuration for the single raffle. So you can enable these modules here, just turn them on. If you like the emote pyramids, for example, you can have different widths of pyramid and different messages that come out of that. You can dual your points. So you can have a maximum amount that you can't dual more than. For example, 10,000 points. User cooldown, global cooldown, messages. All right, all these things look very much the same when you come to configure them. They're all very similar. So I won't go through every one of these. 8-ball's a good one. You can ask the 8-ball a yes/no question. These are the responses that it will give. You can edit these, so you can hit the X to delete them. You can also add your own, and it will put emotes at the end, and you can add your own emotes into here as well. So you can use the global emotes from Twitch, or if StreamElements has a subscription to your channel, you can put your own emotes into here as well. Or if it's got a subscription to somebody else's channel and you want to use their emotes, then you can do that as well. So that's the 8-ball. That's a good one to have on. As we go through enabling these in here, this will also turn on the commands in here. So you can see when we go into the chat commands, the module here is lit up in green if the module is turned on, and then that enables the commands as well. And if you've got something that's not on, like slots or media request, those commands are off, and the module name is grayed out. So if I go and put into modules, if I go and turn on the slots module, which is here, we enable that. Once that's enabled, I go back to chat commands, and now you can see that the slot machine command is enabled and the module's lit up. So all you have to do is control them through the modules section. You can then individually leave the module on and override the commands in here if you want to. So for the 8-ball one, the command is !8ball. We can see that's turned on. We can then come into here and configure the command itself. Okay, so we can say that the command costs points. If you leave that set to 0 or empty, then that allows you to use the command for free. But you can charge people for using these things. One of the ones that we've seen in the past that works out quite well is if you charge people to do the roulette. Okay, so down under roulette here, gamble your life away. You could actually set the cost of gambling to be 10 points, and then Every time they gamble, it will take 10 points away from them. Then it will do the roulette and win or lose. And then you get half or double the result, or you get nothing, or you get double your results back. Double your bet. There's user cooldown, there's global cooldown. This section here is important, command aliases. So here's the command name, !roulette. Down here, if I want to use !gamble, then I just add that as another command alias here. Okay, and then whatever the person types, if they type this or that, then it will run the command. This we're going to come on to, this is important. You can also say whether people can do it online only, so when you're streaming, offline only, so when you're not streaming, or both. Okay, because there will be commands that you get fed up with people spamming it while you're live, but you might want them to use it offline. So I know streamers who have got things like follow age and watch time set so that you can only check them when they're offline, or where you've got gamble, roulette, only available when you're online. I'm going to leave this set to both. So first go through your modules and enable those. See which features you want to have. Second, go through and have a look at your chat commands. Make sure that the right ones are turned on. Everything that you want is there. Now, to get points working though, you need to come down into loyalty, go to loyalty settings, and you need to enable this. If you don't have this enabled, then people can't earn points, which means they can't gamble them and use any of the features that require points. So you must have this turned on for points to work. You also only accrue points when the streamer is live and you are in chat. So we need to look at this. The first thing we can set here is the currency name. So in my chat, I have this called Waves. Ship has it called Ships. Rapper has it called Mixtapes or something like that. You can change the name of your points. Okay. So in this one, just as an example, I'm going to call it, I don't know, Sweeties. Okay. Then you can say how many points should the viewer get for watching and at what interval should that be. So if I put this down to 5, then every 5 minutes, they would get 5 points. Or I can change that to 50, or I can change it to 500. Well, I can't change it to 500. I can only go up to 100. Okay, so I can give 100 sweeties every 5 minutes, or I could say 100 sweeties every 10 minutes. You can see here what they get. I'm going to turn that down to 5. Then there are bonus ways to earn points. So you can say extra points for following. Okay, so, and again, there doesn't seem to be much of a limit here. Let's see if we can work out what the limit is. Yeah, you could go crazy there with that. So let's say what I would do with the loyalty points is think about putting the equivalent of monetary value on them. Okay, because here you can do things like tips and cheers, making points. So I might say for every 100 bits cheered, you get 100 points. That would essentially rate every point as being 1 bit, which is about 1 cent in the US. Or I might say we're going to give more points, maybe 10,000. Okay, if you're going to do that, then I would have the tip bonus set the same. So this is in dollars. So for every dollar tipped, we can give 10,000 points. Following probably isn't worth $1. Well, maybe it is worth $1 to you. I don't know. But let's say every follower is worth that. You can also mess about with these, right? So we could say following is worth 20,000. Tipping and cheering is worth $1 each, so 100 bits or $1. Raid bonuses as well. So for bringing in a raid, we're going to give 30,000. Okay. Then you get a nice summary on the right-hand side. So viewers will receive 100 sweeties for every 5 minutes. Cheering, following, tipping, raiding, get these appropriate amounts. if your account has the ability to earn subs and bits, or subs, then there should be a subscriber multiplier as well on this. So when I look at mine, I can say subscribers get a 4 times bonus or a 5 times bonus. I can also ignore specific users. So if I've got bots in my chat and I don't want them to earn points, or if I want to earn points myself, I can take myself out of here. That's another one. So you can add all the bots into here, and then the bots don't earn points. Okay. Remember to save at the bottom. Make sure loyalty points is on or nothing is going to count. This is what you also need to get watch time working. So if you want people to earn watch time in your stream, then you must enable this loyalty here. Then we've got a leaderboard. So here we get the leaderboard of a list of the top users in the community based on points and watch time. So this is based on points, and this is based on watch time. Again, new account, so it hasn't been used. There is also a public leaderboard, which if we go and have a look at that, you can see here you get to see current points. That's points, yeah, current points and all-time points. You don't get to see watch time publicly. But this is also where you would see, so that your viewers can see how many points they're going to earn for each of their actions. And you really want to encourage people to look at these things and drop a follow for points, cheer, tip, raid. If people know that these are things that they can get points for, maybe they're more likely to do it, right? Nobody likes anything more than points in chat, right? They want to raid you because they get points and so on. There are other things in here like a viewer queue. So if you want to do playing with viewers, you can set up this queuing system in here as well. You'll need to turn the commands on for that. This was in beta for a while, but I think it's working quite well now. You can set the size limit of your queue so that you don't end up with too many people in there. Play with viewers. Okay, and you can also say you've got to be a subscriber to do this, or you've got to be a follower, or you've got to be a VIP. So you can pick different entry conditions for this. Members of these groups can join the queue, but you can only join once. Okay, and then you hit start to start the queue, and then people can join. Okay, back under the chatbot section, we can also add other people as users for our StreamElements. So you add a new user, you pick the username, and then you can choose what level they get. So they can be a regular, similar to the concept of Nightbot has regulars. So an everybody user, everyone in chat would be a level 100, would be everyone. Then you can add people as regulars, or you can add them as moderators, or you can add them as super moderators. This is a question that I get asked a lot, is what is a super moderator? A super moderator has additional access to commands. So you'll see when we come into the commands here, we've got the everyone section. Everyone can use these commands here. Then we have a moderator section. So if you've been configured as a moderator, you get to use these commands here. And then as a super moderator, you get to use these commands here. So you need to be, if you're using StreamElements only, you need to be a super moderator to use the set title command. So if you want moderators to be able to set the title of your stream for you, they need to be a super moderator, or you need to come in here and you need to change the level so that the moderator level can use it. Okay, so we could move that up to moderator. I'm not going to now because I'm going to leave it as it is out of the box. The other thing that you can do is you can add points to users. So if you want to give everybody points, there's an add points command. That's an alias, or has an alias. Edit points or bonus is another one that you can use. There's also a set points, which will set the points of somebody. So I could go in here and I can do set points, Bill the Surfer, some big number. Okay, now it will only do it for people who have been watching the stream, I believe, which is why it's not done it there. So if we did, I'm going to copy this again now. We do that, nope, that doesn't like it either. Try this. Might be because we haven't streamed and we haven't got anything in there. Let's just check that I got the, yeah, I did get it the right way around in the first place. It is add points or set points, then it's the username, then it's the points. There we go. So, okay, I understand what went wrong there. We had to have points or add points before we can set points. I bet if we did this now, it would work. Yeah, there you go. So StreamElements has a lot of sweeties now. So, what next? So we can add points, we can set points, we can enable or disable modules via the commands in the chat. So if you're a super moderator, or if you want to lower this to moderator, so that your moderators can turn on or off the raffle or the 8-ball, then you can do that as well. The interesting ones for me for the super mods is this one, file say, nuke and nuke user. So let's say you get hate raided, or there's a bunch of spam in the chat that you want to get rid of. You have 300 seconds or 6 minutes, 5 minutes, sorry, 5 minutes, 600 seconds to mass remove those messages. Only supermods can do this unless you change the user level. But the idea is if you get hate raided or something comes in like a follow bot account or something like that, then you can nuke what they've said. Okay. If we go and have a look at the documentation for this, it'll describe, there's a search up here. I'll show you what you can do. So you can say here, if you want to find a specific word, so the usage for the command is !nuke, then how far back you want to go in seconds. So maximum of 300, I believe it is. Then what action do you want to take? So do you want to delete, time out, or ban? And then what am I looking for when I look back through the chat where I want to take some action? So this one here says timeout. Anybody who said spam in the last 60 seconds, time them out for 120 seconds. So that's nuke, look back 60, timeout for 120. Anybody who said spam. Okay, or you can do a ban, for example, if somebody mentioned a site, right? So look back 300, that's the last 5 minutes, ban them, and then look for the regular expression that describes what you were looking for. So it doesn't have to be an exact text match, it can be a regular expression. Okay, this is really useful if somebody gets hate raided or follow botted or something like that. You can go back, and if you're quick, you can look back up to, like I say, up to 300 seconds. There's your maximum. The other thing that you can do is nuke user. So again, on here, we have nuke user, which has an alias of nuke username. it does the same thing, but instead of looking at the message, it looks at the usernames. So if you got follow botted by 1,000 accounts that all have a certain pattern to the name, then you can use that to look back a certain number of seconds and then delete, timeout, or ban them based on what their name is. So I've seen a couple of places where we've had names that all begin with a certain word, like a certain prefix, and then something random after it. And this was a very easy way of getting rid of all of those accounts, just banning them all. I've seen this used a few times. The final one that I want to talk about there then is FileSay. FileSay takes a file and says it into chat. Okay, so if you went to somewhere like Pastebin, you can create a file, so new paste here, which would say /ban user1, and we can do user2 and user3. Okay, pardon here. And then if we saved this as a paste, we could then get the link to that, the raw link. Let's do that. Create new paste. Let's do this. Yes, I'm human. Yeah, I don't want new cookies. Go away. So now we have a paste here. We can take this raw link, copy that link. Then we go into chat and we do FileSay and then the Pastebin link. And when you run that, it will go ban, 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 job done. Okay, and if I wanted to undo that, then I could go and do another paste. And for simplicity, I'm just going to copy this. So they create me a new paste. And this is going to say unban. Okay, create that. Go away. So now we can copy this raw link here again. Come into here. We can FileSay the Pastebin. Unban, unban, unban. Okay, very powerful if you've got a massive list of users you want to ban. If you found a list of known bots online, you can go through and you can ban them all in one go. So again, then you've got, with these levels, the super moderator can also change somebody's level. So if you want them to change the level from being a mod to a super mod, or you want to make a regular user, so take somebody in chat and make them a regular user, then you can use this level command for that. Again, there, go and have a look at the documentation if you're ever unsure. So here we're looking for the level of the username, and we want to put a value in there. And the value would be something like regular viewer, or you check with their regular viewer name, then you've got those numbers, the 300 that I said. The default one is 100, so that's everyone. Subscribers are at 250. Regulars you can set to 300, that would be manually. 400 for VIPs, 500 for mods, 1,000 for super mods, and 2,000 for the broadcaster. Obviously you can't set the broadcaster yourself. So if we were to take somebody from chat, we can say level and their name. Ari has a level of 0, so isn't in chat. So we can say Ari becomes a regular by doing that. And then we can check that that worked. Now we have Ari as a 300. I think that's probably the most useful ones. Set game, so that's setting the name of the game that you're playing on the channel. So with Nightbot, you would do game Fortnite, for example. with StreamElements, you need to do set game Fortnite. Okay, that'll change the game, and that should appear then under the stream when you've got that showing. Or you could do set game is chatting. Okay, and then we can, the other one was set title. Test stream. Come through. That'll update our title. So we talked about points, raffles as well. So you can do a single raffle, S raffle. And that'll use the default number of points that you've configured in your raffle object. So raffle, the regular raffle for multiple winners is M raffle. So you do raffle or M raffle. And then for a single winner raffle, you've got S raffle or single raffle. And these are configured in the raffle module here. So we've got the duration and the maximum amount, as we said before. We can turn on alerts here. So the other one to do counters. Now we talked about counters for Nightbot. Counters for StreamElements work differently. I would argue maybe better in a way, because you can add counters and they have two different commands for managing counters. They've got one that will get the counter and one that will set the counter. With Nightbot, you only have the $count variable, and every time you use that in a command and call it, it increments the counter for you. In StreamElements, you have the different options. So let's go and create a, well, let's go and see what we've got in the way of counters. Let's show you the documentation for it. I could spell. So you have two variables. You have one called getCount and one called count. And counting does the increment or decrement for you. getCount retrieves it without changing it. Okay, so we can add a command with a counter, and we can use these curly brackets or we can use round brackets, parentheses, it doesn't matter. But if we were to take one of these commands, so we could do something like command add crowns, and then we can say Bill has our counter. So this is going to be the get counter, right? So here we're going to use this one, get count. Crowns, and crowns is just the name of the variable, and we can put whatever in there. Okay, then if we want a command to change that or to update that, we can do command add cwin. It's going to add 1 to the crowns. This needs to just add 1 to the counter. Okay, so this isn't going to output anything, but this is just going to add 1 to the counter. So here we need to add the command, so that's going to be cwin, and then we need just this to add the counter, $. So there's going to be $ bracket count, and then we're going to add to the count called crowns. Okay, so then we can say cwin, and it's going to show that we've got 1. If we do crowns, Bill has 1. I should have put the word crowns in the end of that. We can command edit this, by the way. If I do command edit, that might make more sense. So now every time we call crowns, it's not going to increment anything. But then if we do cwin, that's going to add one to the command or to the count. Then we can do that. The other clever thing that you can do with this is instead of having a command that you build yourself to add something to the counter, you can use some of the default count commands. So there's, let me find the name of it here, edit counter. Okay, edit counter can be used by mods. So it's, sorry for flashing there, moderator level. The moderator level has the edit counter, and you can do edit counter, and then I think you just need to specify the name of the counter and then the number. Okay, so for crowns, we can do +1, and that changes it from 2 to 3. Or we can do edit counter crowns 1, 2, 3, and I'll change it to 1, 2, 3. And you can also do negative as well. So if you've overcounted, knock 2 off. Okay, so this is a lot more, let's say, flexible, direct, compared to Nightbot, where Nightbot you've got to do some really convoluted stuff to get the command to update. Updating crowns is much easier in StreamElements, yes. So you've got essentially a built-in version of cwin there. So counters is really easy. What else have we got? Spam filtering. Again, most of it's self-explanatory. So you can set different, so for caps, for example, you can choose different levels of what you want to do. You can warn them, you can delete the message, just delete, timeout or ban. If you're doing a timeout, it can be for a certain amount of seconds. You can exclude different levels. So your regulars can type in caps, but the subs can't, for example. Or you can say subs can, but normal people can't, the everyone's. You can also set limits so that some caps are allowed, or a certain percentage of caps will trigger it. So 60% caps would trigger it. It has to be more than a certain length, so 8 characters. So if you just said hi in caps, it would be okay. But if you said hi, how are you, then it wouldn't. You can also turn it on so it does announcements. I don't know why you would want to do that. That's going to flood your chat anyway, but you can have that. And you can also have it so that with probation, you have a way of controlling. If they only do it once, then it's a lower punishment. But if they do it repeatedly, you can have a multiplier, and then they've got a cooldown on that. So if you were to say, if I had this set as a timeout for 60 seconds, and then when they come back, they do it again, I could have this as a 2x multiplier, and then it'd be 120 seconds, and then they've got to wait 5 minutes before that resets back to being 60 seconds. Link protection. So I turn off links on the Twitch side anyway in my chats. I don't want the risk that anybody might accidentally click on a link in chat if the bot doesn't catch it soon enough. It's just better not to have links in chat. But if you did want to have them, so if there's a valid reason, so if you've got song requests turned on and you want people to be able to request songs on YouTube, then you'll need to have links on, or it helps to have links on. But then you would want to put block listing in here. So you can trust links. So you could have, for example, we'll allow links on youtube.com or soundcloud.com. I've got to spell it correctly. Yeah, so you can allow certain sites, maybe even if you want to allow self-promo, then you could allow twitch.tv, or you might allow clips.twitch.tv, but not Twitch TV. So you can add in links that are allowed, and then you can add block links as well. So if you, essentially these will be punished harder, it says. Okay, so you can, and then you can change the messaging around that. Emote protection just stops, again, same thing, stops people spamming emotes if you don't want loads of emotes in chat. Paragraph protection is about the length of a message. So if somebody puts in half their life story, then you can have that deleted, or you can have them timed out for it if you want to, except for the regulars or the mods or the VIPs, so on. Symbol protection stops people spamming symbols, just as the name says. Repetition protection is a new feature. So if somebody keeps spamming the same thing, can I play? Can I play? Can I play? Time them out with a stop repeating yourself message. Zalgo protection is this the text that you see where they've got funny characters above and below the letters. That's called Zalgo text, and you can prevent people from using that as well. And then finally, you've got the one-man spam. So if somebody is the only person typing, or they're typing lots of stuff and nobody else is typing, then you can consider that to be spamming, and you can have them kicked from the chat, time them out, delete the messages, whatever. Again, I'd be a bit cautious with some of these options, really. I think they're good for large chats, and maybe if you tweak them carefully enough, they could be good for smaller chats. But on the whole, unless somebody's being a real pain, then you probably don't need to have all of this turned on. As you can see here, you can also then use this slider so that it's got here as minimum. It's got everything except repetition and Zalgo. Medium is turning everything on. And then I have no idea what the difference is between medium and maximum, because everything's already on at maximum, at medium. So I'm going to turn all of that off for now. Question in the chat, do you have info on shadow bans and how it affects people? Yes. Twitch is responsible for shadow bans. It's unrelated to StreamElements or Nightbot or any of the bots. Twitch has methods for working out whether a person has been banned in chat and then comes in on another account. So people say it's to do with IP addresses. I don't believe it is. I think it's about email addresses and phone numbers that are used to register accounts on Twitch. So when I create my Twitch account, I can give my email address and my phone number, and I can also say whether those accounts are allowed to be used to create other Twitch accounts. So I used it today. I have my main account, Bill the Surfer. Today I created a second account called Bot the Surfer, which I'm going to use for configuring as a bot in the future. And Bot the Surfer will live in my chat. Now, I don't need to give Twitch a different email address. I want to use the same email address for the bot as I did for my main account. So I enable that, but then Twitch knows that I've got two accounts tied to the same email address, or it could be tied to the same phone number, or both. But then if one of those accounts gets banned in a chat, then the other one will be shadow banned. So while the streamer hasn't banned the second account, they will type in the chat, but nobody will see it. So if you were to ban by IP address, which again I don't believe they do, they may take it into account in the very short term. So if an account comes in, gets banned, and within the next 5 minutes another account from the same IP address comes in, it's possible that maybe they might take that into account, but I don't think they do, because if you were to take into account IP addresses, there's high risk of blocking too many people. For example, there are certain countries that only have a handful of IP addresses for the entire country. So they use internal inside the country, they'll use IPv6, and they'll all have as many IPs as necessary. But to get out of the country, the gateways that come out might only have 4 or 5 IPv4 IP addresses. And if you were to block those IP addresses, then everybody in that country would be affected. Similar is if you're using a VPN. If somebody is using a specific VPN and they get banned, somebody else who's using the same VPN coming out of the same exit node would then be affected by the ban if they used IP addresses. I don't think they use IP addresses on Twitch for shadow banning. I think it's down to, from my experience, from talking to people who've been banned and then their alts can't talk, and they've come to me and asked for help. Usually it's because their main or one of their accounts got banned, and it's tied to the same email address or the same phone number. So that's how shadow banning works. StreamElements is a great, easy-to-use monster. Yes, it is. There's a lot to it, but it's not actually that difficult. The main thing to remember when you're coming in and you're setting up watch time, and you have to turn on the loyalty points. This is what drives watch time, as well as points, any kind of reward system. Okay, StreamElements stores all of this in their own database. They clean up the database if you haven't been in chat for a year. So if you go in a chat, you earn some watch time, you earn some points, and then you don't go in again for 12 months. Then if you go in again after that, you'll find that your watch time and your points have been reset. So it keeps a history of the last 12 months. If you're a regular in the chat, if you're seen in the chat, then that'll keep your points alive and your watch time running. If you're not there, then you'll lose it. This is the warning here. Loyalty points earned will lapse if the viewer has been inactive on the channel for more than a year. So if you want to keep your watch time up, you want to keep your points up, you need to be going in at least every 11.5 months, really. Yeah, we can look at the bot settings. You can mute the bot temporarily. So if it's still active in your chat, but you don't want it to respond to stuff for a period of time, you can mute it and it'll shut up. Or you can part it, and that tells it to leave your channel. And then to get it back, you have to go to your dashboard and tell it to rejoin. What else we got? We talked about the store giveaways. I haven't done a giveaway on StreamElements, but it's very much a similar kind of thing to other giveaways. This one has the idea that you buy tickets so that you can spend tickets. So this is using points to get tickets. You can do a 0 cost, I believe. And you can also set the maximum number of tickets that a user gets. And essentially, when you start a giveaway running, it will bring them to a link on the StreamElements page where they can spend their points or buy tickets. So they have a way of doing it. And the good thing about doing it through StreamElements that way is that it'll keep track of the tickets over multiple streams. So if you're doing a Nightbot giveaway, Nightbot will only keep track of the current active stream. If you're doing it in StreamElements, then you can do it over a period of time. So you might say you're going to, through the month of June, you're going to run this giveaway. And at the end of the month, you're going to give away, a V-Bucks card. So then you can set this up. So you would say V-Bucks giveaway. You can describe the giveaway. So you can buy tickets during June. There will be a, 1,000 V-Bucks giveaway on the 30th of June. Something like that. Then you can even have an image or a video that's shown when somebody comes into the giveaway page. This also uses a preview for the widget in your overlays, so you can have like a giveaway as an overlay on the stream as well. Again, not really dug into this. I have seen a couple of streamers use it in the past. It does seem quite powerful and quite useful. And you can, I think you also get, sure, I saw somebody who had a countdown as well, where they could set like a deadline. I don't know if that was a StreamElements one though, I'm not sure. But yeah, you can do things like set subscriber luck. So if I had subscribers, then I'd be able to say subscribers get more luck. So all the way up to 10 times as much. Okay, might be a good way to encourage people to be subscribers. There's also this contest. I don't think I've ever seen this before, but again, similar kind of thing. This is like polls or predictions, but instead of gambling channel points, you're gambling StreamElements points. So you could have who will I win the next game? Yes, no. They can !bet to play for points. You can add more options if you need to. You need to have at least 2, but you can add more. How long will it run for? So how many minutes do you have to bet? What's the minimum? What's the maximum? Confirm via chat, and then you can start the prediction. But this is different to Twitch predictions, which use channel points. This is using StreamElements points. And we looked at the viewer queue earlier as well. So you play with viewers, you can queue people up. And then there's commands. If you look in the commands for the viewer queue. Queue. So to manage the queue, there's this queue command, and you can close and open, pause and unpause, remove people, pick people, change positions, join, show the list. You've experienced issues with SEQ. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Most people are using, so the viewer queue is a relatively new feature. I don't know when you had issues with it, but it's relatively new. It only came out of beta not so long ago. That's why there's bots like Play with Viewers bot, which works better. I'd probably hesitate. I'd want to test this in a non-important scenario before I started using it reliably. Somehow got bad data with many users. Yeah, possibly. Late 2023. Yeah, I don't know. I know it was in beta until, well, probably the last time I looked into it, it was still in beta, which would have been maybe earlier this year, end of last year, early this year. But it's out of beta now, so it'd be interesting to know if it's still got issues. And the other one that I've seen a lot, but I haven't played with is song requests. So there are various commands in here to show songs, request songs. Again, because most of the streamers that I know don't have links available in chat, then you can't post a YouTube URL. You can only put the ID or the video title. And again, you've got to take care because of copyright. So if you allow your viewers to request any song on YouTube or SoundCloud or wherever, and that's copyright, then you risk getting a copyright strike on your channel. If you get 3 strikes, then they kick you off. So you don't want to be doing song requests or doing them openly too much. You'll see quite a few people who have song requests who do play copyright music, and you wonder how they get away with it. Typically, it's that they don't have it in the VODs. And there's an option with OBS, at least, where you can turn on different channels of audio. So you could have the song requests go into a separate channel that isn't stored in the VODs. And that's what I've got. I configured VLC as an input, as a sound input for OBS, and anything that I play in VLC will not be recorded into the VOD. But I think you have to take care with the songs. It also kind of relies on you having something running on your PC that's going to play that music then. So it expects you to have the browser open. I started playing with the Nightbot one for a bit, and it wasn't intuitive, I must say. But there is actually a Nightbot app that you can download that will help with it. It means that you can share the audio from the app rather than from the web browser, and then it would only take the music that you're playing through the Nightbot song requests rather than everything that's playing through your web browser. So when I was testing it out, I had to open up the song request page, then I could play the song, but then everything that Chrome was playing, including all the streams that I had open in the background and whoever knows what else, that would all go out onto stream as well. I followed a streamer who was a singer and had his own music playing. Yeah, absolutely, that's brilliant. There's also a DJ program on Twitch, so if you want to play music, you can join the DJ program, and they take a cut of your earnings and give it to DJs, and give it to music creators. It goes into basically a license pool, and you can kind of get exemption to some copyright issues around it by being a DJ. It's a whole category on Twitch that you can join. And if you are a DJ or aspiring DJ or want to be a DJ, then you have to apply to join. And then if you're accepted, then they'll put you in, and essentially while you're streaming under a certain category, a portion of your earnings goes to the music industry. And in return, they won't copyright strike you. So what else have we got here? Timers works, again, similar to Nightbot, where you can set up a timer. You can have it spit out a message on a regular basis. Join my Discord. Don't forget to follow. Subscribe to my YouTube. All of those sorts of things. And you can also then control whether you want that to happen only when you're online, only when you're offline, or both. And is there a minimum amount of chat that needs to happen between the timers to make sure that you're not spamming chat with timers? Okay, so that's fairly straightforward again as well. And you can also here limit that so that it only happens when a certain category is on. So if you're streaming in the just chatting, then you could have one set of messages, or if you're streaming in the Fortnite, then you could have another set of messages. I think the timers here are potentially a little bit more flexible than the Nightbot ones, but also has the same limitation, I think, around how often it will come out. So if you've got something set, then it's based on when the timer last ticked over, how long it's going to be before the next one appears. And I think we've pretty much covered everything there. Does anybody in chat have any questions about any of the features of StreamElements? The other thing is, if you haven't seen it already, there is down here, wherever it was, down here under Other, there's a chat stats page, and then you can get for your account, you can see how many messages are sent, who's used what emotes, who the top chatters are, what the top commands are that have been used in the chat, how many messages per second are going through, And all of this adds up to a global view, which is this one. And this is telling you about all of the stats on Twitch. Let's put it in dark mode, a bit easier on the eyes. So globally on Twitch right now, these are the emotes that are being used, going over the top there. This is the total number of messages that Twitch is processing right now. So we're coming up to, what's that, 200 billion? 92 million unique chatters. Number of messages per second. So Twitch is processing 2,000 or 3,000 messages per second, typically. And then you can also see what the top emotes are, the top chatters. So funnily enough, the top chatter is StreamElements, right? What's that, 6.9 billion messages and counting. Nightbot comes in second at 4 billion. Fosterbot is another big bot, very popular. That's written by Aiden, who works at Twitch. Streamlabs, Wisebot, MooBot. So these bots are the main ones. So yeah, we were just looking at StreamElements and the different pieces here. I don't know if you've seen it. There's a global stats dashboard StreamElements runs where you can see the message count, how many messages have been sent on Twitch, how many people chat, how many messages per second, the top chatters, the top emotes that are used. Top commands. Yeah, some of these, there's a series of channels, if you know where to look, where they literally just have bots spamming to try and get onto these leaderboards. It's crazy. I found one of the chats once and it was just absolutely mental. It was literally thousands of bot accounts repeatedly spamming the same emotes, just to try and get them up here. This is one, this Pasha one here, Zero Pasha Top. That there was a whole bunch of spam accounts and bot accounts related to that. I'm not on the charts, Ari. I am nowhere near high enough to be getting onto these. This has taken, what, literally a decade to build this list up, or more. Who knows? So yeah, chat stats. We've gone through the dashboard here. We've talked about the commands, the modules. If anyone's got any questions about any of the commands that you can use in StreamElements, let me know. We've talked about moderator and super moderator. We've done a demo of the file say command. We talked about how you can nuke users, set titles. Super moderators can set the title in the game. On Nightbot, it's moderator level. They can set them, but on StreamElements, it has this concept of a super mod. You can add different people with different levels. You can have regular users, moderators, and super moderators. We've talked about the different modules that you can have, from the alerts, the vote kick, the roulette, bingo, raffle, duel, 8-ball, slots, viewer queue. We talked about timers. We set up a crown timer, talked about timers. We haven't set any timers up. We talked about crowns and doing a crown counter. We've been through and talked about spam filtering, different levels of spam filtering. You can put banned words in. I'm not going to mess with that on stream. I get TOS'd. You can mute the bot and part the bot if you want it to pause. We talked about loyalty. If you ever want to get your watch time working or your points, you need to make sure this is on. If you haven't got this on, then watch time doesn't count. And then we talked about the strategy for setting points up and ignoring the bot users in your stream. We've looked at the leaderboards, see who's got the most points, who's got the most watch time. You can set up a store and sell merch. We've shown giveaways. We've shown contests, which is basically like predictions, but for StreamElements points rather than for channel points, which is what Twitch does. We talked about the viewer queue, how you could play with viewers, for example. QP said that this is a bit flaky, so we haven't actually tested it, but you might look at other alternatives like Play with Viewers bot if you find that you're having trouble with this. And then, yeah, media requests, so you can turn on song requests. You have to have this open, or you have to have a browser overlay, stream overlay. And then you got your profile details on here where you can put your social media in. This is just a throwaway account with a disposable email address that I set up for this.